So let's expand on that technique that we did in that last problem, the idea of can you factor and simplify. So it says another procedure for finding a limit analytically is dividing out technique. This technique involves dividing out common factors. In other words, factor and simplify. So again, here's another interactive example that you could see. If you want to click on that, you do not need to click on that or you do not need to download that to get the answer. That's just a nice visual way of letting you see what the function looks like and seeing what the limit is. Another way you can do this is on Desmos. Just go to Desmos and you'll see it graphed. So the problem is find the limit as x approaches 3 of x squared plus x minus 6 all over x plus 3. So what do you want to do? Well, the first thing you always want to do, the first thing I always want to do is the easiest thing possible, which would just be plugging in the number. So that'd be negative 3 squared plus a negative 3 minus 6 all over negative 3 plus a 3. Negative 3 squared is 9, minus 3 is 6, minus 6 is 0, and on bottom negative 3 plus 3 is 0, so I'm getting 0 over 0, which is indeterminate. If you put this into your calculator would say error division by 0. That just means that we're dividing by 0, so it's undefined. That does not mean the limit doesn't exist. It means we cannot substitute in the value to find the limit. Remember, we can only plug it in if it works. Well, it didn't work. So now we need another technique. What's that technique? That technique is, in this case, factoring. So this is the same thing as the limit as x approaches negative 3. Notice if I'm putting an equal sign, I need to write that limit again. I need to think about factoring x squared plus x minus 6. You have to be good at factoring to survive in this class. Two numbers that multiply to be negative 6 and add to be 1 would be x plus 3 and x minus 2, if I'm factoring correctly. And all of this is all over x plus 3. Notice I put parentheses there just to visually help me. They're not necessary in the denominator. Now I see that because I'm factored, I'm only able to simplify factors. This is the exact same thing as the limit as x approaches negative 3 of just the x minus 2. Well, that's a polynomial function, so we could just plug in our given x value, which is negative 3. So this would be negative 3 minus 2, which is a value of negative 5. Again, if we wanted to check this, how could we check this? Very quickly, use the table feature in your calculator, put x squared plus x minus 6 all over x plus 3. Then you're going to plug in values close to negative 3 on both sides, so maybe negative 3.1, negative 3.01, negative 3.001, and you just want to see those y values getting closer and closer to negative 5. A quick and easy way to check your answer here. It says in example 7, direct substitution produced the meaningless fraction form 0 over 0. An expression such as 0 over 0 is called indeterminate form. I already talked about that. It says because you cannot, from the form alone, determine the limit. So anytime you get this 0 over 0, you cannot just plug it in. That does not tell you the limit. It says when you try to evaluate a limit and encounter this form, remember, you must rewrite the fraction so that the new denominator does not have 0 in its limit. The only way to do this is to divide out common factors. Another way to do this is a rationalizing technique shown below. So if it's a quadratic or a polynomial on top and bottom, your technique, if you get 0 over 0, is to factor and simplify. The next one is if we get radicals. So one thing I need you to remember is rationalizing the denominator. Again, this was covered in your algebra and functions and lines review, so you should have seen this already. It says another way to find a limit is rationalization or rationalizing technique, which involves rationalizing either the numerator or the denominator of a fractional expression. When you did this in trig, you did it a lot. In algebra, you did it sometimes, you rationalize the denominator. Well, here it might actually be beneficial to rationalize the numerator. Sounds weird, but you might do it. It says, recall that rationalizing the numerator or denominator means multiplying in the numerator or denominator by the conjugate of the numerator or denominator. So remember, conjugate's the exact same thing, except you change addition to subtraction or subtraction to addition. So if we were looking at the square root of x plus 4 all over x, and we wanted to rationalize the numerator, get rid of the radical in the numerator, we'd have to multiply both the top and bottom by the conjugate, which is the square root of x minus 4. So if you had the square root of x minus 4, and you're going to distribute it, well, you'd have the square root of x times the square root of x, which is the square root of x squared. You'd have minus 4 root x plus 4 root x, so those middle two terms cancel, which will always happen if you're FOILing out conjugate pairs. And then you have the 4 times the negative 4, which would be negative 4 squared. Well, the square root of x squared is just x, and 4 squared is 16. Notice we do not, let me absolutely write this note here, do not distribute the denominator. Do not distribute the denominator. Only the numerator. Leave the denominator in factored form. You always want to leave your denominator in factored form. Okay, so if you notice, the original one had a radical in the numerator. The final version does not have a radical in the numerator, so that's called rationalizing the numerator in this case. So that's one of the techniques that we're going to use to evaluate limits on the next page.